Okay, this is slightly different to that group. It has a very different process for innovation, using extensive databases, email lists, and targeting email things, trying to solicit online proposals, and they craft an arrangement so that they define the problems to attract outsiders, but they don't actually give away information about who's giving this information and stuff to the recipients. What we thought was really a really key point to their process was that it helped the clients define the problem. We really like this. It's not very long, it's only 2 pages. They have an extensive database which they constantly refine and update, so then that whoever replies to them, they're going to be more precise for the next project. And another key thing was that they've gained respectability by organisations by getting equity from people like Procter & Gamble, so that to grow his business. That's kind of... Any more?
Yeah, it's kind of a short talk.
It was a short one, yeah.
So we thought the name was rubbish. NineSigma sounds like some sort of terrible apprentice-style team. So we quite like the thing about the problem identification. They were saying once you actually identify the problem, that's half the battle sort of solved. And we thought that rather than working with the client to identify their problem, we would take into a slightly more development kind of participatory problem identification, inclusive, looking at the particular context. And we quite like the open call where you actually give lots of people the opportunity to present their ideas. We also talked about presenting their ideas, new ideas, existing ideas. We didn't quite mean offering failures, but offering things that you felt didn't work in your context, might work in another context. We also were talking about, because we actually had an example we found on the laptop, we actually had an example of an email from NineSigma. So you're actually a member of their list? Yeah. So we had, and we were having a look at it, and we were saying it'd be quite nice to have something a bit more, that a long thing of text about a problem is not a very exciting way to spark ideas, but pictures, videos, ways of actually thinking about a problem in different ways. We thought we'd create quite a lot of things. It felt like a very one-way approach. It was very much, this is the problem, we've helped you identify it, please give us new ideas, thank you very much. It wasn't very easy to see whether these ideas came in as proposals that would then be funded or whether you were offering them for free. So we sort of morphed it into much more of a thinking about the sort of network approaches, wanting sort of new ideas, where different people ask for sort of help and ideas, people organise them. We're also talking about the importance of having sort of feedback loops, saying you gave us your ideas, here's what we did, this is what we found worked, what didn't work. None of this, we kind of, obviously this is just really kind of a database or an email network, so it all has to sit in with organisational or individual capacity to actually manage innovation processes. It doesn't actually replace that, it's not really, it's just a small part of that. We were talking about making it a bit more transparent. For example, they send in proposals and ideas. How would you actually go about choosing those proposals? What sort of processes could you involve the rest of the sort of the network in actually identifying, evaluating those? So obviously there's lots of processes going on that are not just those people involved on email, because that's quite a select group of people. I think that was most of our bits. Have I missed anything out? We kind of merged into those, we discussed lots of different email networks that we're all on, where people do ask questions and people do offer really detailed solutions or ideas from their perspective for sort of, as a sort of reciprocal kind of arrangement. That kind of morphed into that. And we also had the example of Ken Livingstone going to advise Hugo Chavez's new mayors in Venezuela. Candidates. And we were just saying, do you think if he was put out on an open proposal call for ideas, he would have actually volunteered to do that? And whether there are different ways that you invite people to take part in things, and who offers a solution rather than who actually might be the people that should be involved in